There's one thing I know, it's that there's something bittersweet about closing a chapter you never imagined opening in the first place. Coming across a blank book, realizing you have a passion for writing, and a few years later there's an entire story, one you're proud of and would always choose to write again. If there's one thing I know, it's that in September of 2020, the BB Picnic Co. was started in the living room of two 23-year-old girls who wanted a side hustle passion project while working their full-time corporate IT jobs, who knew nothing about how to start a business, but now they do. If there's one thing I know, it's that I knew nothing about how to get a business license, build a website, or create packages that would turn into fully booked out calendars. Nothing about taxes or payroll or marketing, but after a lot of Googling and even more sleepless nights, now they do. One thing I know is they knew nothing about how to interview someone, but somehow a conversation at a coffee shop turned into a first hire, "Hey Peyton," which then turned into a lifelong friend. If there's one thing I know, it's that Maddie and Kylie were the best second and third hire they could have made, and that they spent far too much time eating guacamole and learning how to run a business as a team of 5 in their living room together that summer. One thing I know is that they knew nothing about the proper protocol for onboarding an employee, but somehow they made ice cream on your first day and a photo sitting at your first picnic a requirement. 4 years, 15 employees, and lots of ice cream later, one thing I know is they knew nothing about any of these girls before the BB Picnic Co., but now they do, and it was definitely meant to be this way. One thing I know is that a little Instagram DM to Katie at Longboard Charcuterie about a potential long-term partnership requiring about 5 to 10 boards a week turned into 5 to 10 boards a day, then daily meetups to talk business, then a signed lease, and countless hours renovating a shared storefront between us. If there's one thing I know, it's that none of us had tattoos, but somehow a Monday off turned to brunch, turned to our first ones together. If there's one thing I know, it's that after lots of cheese and lots of events that have come and gone, this friendship is forever. If there's one thing I know, it's that a few months after opening, their little business landed features in major publications like Southern Living, Brides, Condé Nast Traveler Magazine, Coastal Virginia Magazine, Yahoo News, MSN News, and all of a sudden, it didn't seem so little anymore. If there's one thing I know, it's that 6 months into business, an email in their spam folder turned into a flight to LA to film Shark Tank, countless hours pitching and prepping, a $100,000 investment, something that never aired, resulting in a loss of the money and an even larger life lesson in loss. Yeah, that's a story for another time, but if there's one thing I know, we did it and are proud. If there's one thing I know, it's about Nissan NV200s, also known as the cutest picnic van you've ever seen that slightly resembles an edible arrangements van. If there's one thing I know, it's when they started a picnic and events company, it's they knew nothing about cargo vans, what make or model or size or price point they should go with. If there's one thing I know, it's that this van was an integral part of executing thousands of events, was a frequent spot to enjoy much-needed early morning coffees, and has enough sand in the back to make a beach of its own. If there's one thing I know, it's about taking an old vape shop and turning it into the cutest 1,000-square-foot picnic and charcuterie shop you've ever seen. If there's one thing I know, it's I knew nothing about commercial real estate or the appropriate price per square foot, or that upfitting a space was up for discussion with a landlord along with CAM and free rent and a whole lot of other acronyms, but now I do. If there's one thing I know, it's they knew nothing about having a retail shop, and then they had a little key on a keychain that said they could go there whenever they wanted, and now it's been 3 years, the lease is coming to an end, the little key soon won't work, and they love this place. If there's one thing I know, it's that clients have been adamant that we pull off picnics in the cold of winter, the rain of spring, and the direct heat of summer, because celebrating life seasons is far too important to let a little weather app rain on their parade. One thing I know is that a thank you is in order. To the thousands of strangers who spent countless moments trusting this business with some of the most important events of their lives. Proposals, anniversaries, birthdays, showers, date nights, and even weddings. Something that we will forever be grateful for and don't take lightly. Thank you to our family and friends who supported this crazy dream, were our voice of reason and our biggest cheerleaders. If there's one thing I know, it's after 4 unbelievable years, the VB Picnic Co. has decided to no longer host physical events. With our lease ending, we have made the decision to close this chapter and transition back to our original love of creating content around all things event design, hosting, and inspo, as well as providing consulting services to help other small businesses grow. If there's one thing I know, it's that we're so beyond grateful that you gave us this opportunity to learn how to go from those two 23-year-old girls in our living room to two 27-year-old business owners who didn't know anything until one day they did. And somehow there's still so much they don't know, but there's some comfort in that. Here's to learning and living and trying our best so each morning we can wake up and smile and say, hey, we didn't know that yesterday.